Why people with ADHD don't have room for relationships. Let's start with some numbers. So, the first thing is that this is really scary. So, 96% of those who date persons with ADHD feel that their ADHD makes the relationship worse in a big manner. About 92% of people say they have to make up for their partner with ADHD, which makes their partner feel like a burden. I'm kind of lifting because you can't get your act together. People with ADHD who have lived their whole lives with it are 3 times more likely to have never been married than people between the ages of 60 and 94. This is because they can't keep a relationship going or because their marriage ends in divorce. These numbers are bad, but that doesn't mean you're out of luck. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot. I'll say, okay, things are really bad, because that's what the data reveals. But this is the most important thing to keep in mind. There is a pattern if there are numbers. If something happens over and over again, you can guess what will happen next. If you can guess what will happen, you can stop it from happening. So, if we know what's going on in these relationships, we'll have a plan on how to avoid or fix these problems. And one of the main reasons people with ADHD ask for therapy is because their relationships are not going well. They can handle their job and school, but their partner is really sick of them in their relationship. So, if I forget your birthday in a normal relationship, that's kind of mean. That makes me a bit of an asshole. But if I have ADHD, it's not because I don't care that I forgot your birthday. I can't pay attention, I get distracted easily, and I forget things a lot. So one of the hardest things about being in a relationship with someone who has ADHD is that you will do a lot of things that really hurt your partner, but they won't understand that it's because of the ADHD. This makes things even harder because if you tell your partner, hey, the reason I forgot your birthday is not because I don't care, but because forgetfulness is a symptom of ADHD. They might think you're just making excuses. It can feel like you're avoiding responsibility, which can make you feel guilty and not satisfy your partner. So, today we're going to give you guys a lot of options. Dr. Michaela will lead a comprehensive workshop on particular strategies for dealing with ADHD in relationships if you all think the solutions aren't enough. If you're interested, please click on the link below to learn more. The first difficulty we're going to talk about is when people don't understand what's wrong with them. So, let's pretend I'm a normal person in a normal relationship, and there are some things I do. If I say, hey, my birthday is coming up and I really want chocolate cake, what would you do? What does it mean if you're my partner and my birthday comes and there's no chocolate cake? I see this and remark, hey, I asked for chocolate cake. You didn't bring me chocolate cake. This shows you don't care. From a neurotypical point of view, there is a certain behavior in the connection that is connected to a given meaning or interpretation. If you love me, care about me, and want to make me happy, you should get me what I want for my birthday. So if you didn't acquire that thing, that shows you don't care. This is the main problem with ADHD. If you're a neurotypical person dating someone with ADHD, you might not know that there are other reasons why this person didn't get you chocolate cake. They don't not care, they just forget. It's because they can be easily distracted. It's because they weren't paying attention when you said, hey, by the way, I'd like to get chocolate cake. Your partner with ADHD was playing Silk Song because it had just come out. This is what we call symptomatic misconception. This is a fantastic paper that talks about qualitative research on ADHD. They blamed me for a lot of things that were really just my ADHD symptoms. I always forget things, and I don't care whether I lose things or all kinds of other things. It all comes back to my ADHD. So, that's hard to keep up relationships over time. He told me a list of items the other day, and I was like, I can't keep track of everything. Just let me see what you're reading. He was really furious at me because he thought I wasn't paying attention. I said, I'm listening to you. I do care though. I just can't remember all of these choices. I need to see it. That's where I think the problem lies. People who don't know you assume you don't care. And on the inside, you're saying, no, I do. But I need to learn skills, or you need to acquire tools so that we may both do well. This is what symptomatic misconception is all about. It isn't getting to the bottom of why the couple is having troubles. So, from your point of view, you're not paying attention, you're easily distracted, and you forget things. These are all signs that someone has ADHD. It's just how your brain is set up. But from their point of view, they're not a top priority. You don't care. You would not be as forgetful if you cared more. You'd pay attention if you cared more. So people see being easily distracted as not caring. So what do we do about this? A lot of people with ADHD turn to a really terrifying answer that makes everyone angry and doesn't solve the problem. They say the same thing I did. I saw a video. Dr. K responded, "I get distracted easily. I forget things. I act on impulse. I have trouble with being inattentive. That's why I didn't get you a cake for your birthday." So it's not my fault. This doesn't assist anyone because you're using your ADHD as an excuse. We need to determine what the harm really is, which is why we want to look into symptomatic misperception. There are two injuries here. One is that I didn't get a cake for my birthday. That hurt is extremely real, no matter if it's because of ADHD not caring or something else. I wanted a gift for my birthday. This is something I really want for my birthday. That thing didn't come to me. That hurt is present, even if you don't have ADHD. There is a second form of hurt. Why isn't the cake there? There is no cake because you don't care. An inaccurate neurotypical interpretation of the cake not being there can cause psychological and emotional harm. This is why we want to focus on symptomatic misperception. We need to repair these two problems. Once we obtain that, we can say, okay, the cake isn't there because you're not paying attention, because you tend to get distracted, or because you forget things. That's part of having ADHD. It doesn't have to hurt me personally. I don't have to think of this as a sign that they don't care, or that I'm not a priority. The first step to genuinely fixing these difficulties is to look at them from a neuroatypical point of view. There are 5 elements of evidence-based relationship therapy that work for people with ADHD. The first one is a change in how you see the connection. What does that mean? This is the very first thing I do in therapy when a patient with ADHD comes to see me and has trouble with their relationships. The first step in therapy is to have both people in the same room and assist them see that your partner's view of you as not a priority is wrong. They genuinely do care. They are truly trying, but they are having some problems, which takes us to the second point. That's not enough. You can't just remark, "Oh yeah, they have ADHD. Sorry, but you'll never have cake again." We also need to fix the issue. So how do we fix that? This is where we talk about the second point, which is adaptations that don't work. We can move on to addressing the physical injury or the lack of cake once we've dealt with the emotional hurt and hopefully helped folks see that this is a result of ADHD and that I still care. You probably have all sorts of ways to protect yourself from the symptoms of ADHD. The issue is that those changes make things worse. So, if we go back to our 5 principles of evidence-based relationship therapy, we need to change how we engage with each other when things aren't going well, and stop avoiding our feelings. And we're going to achieve that by fixing these bad changes. So, if you had ADHD as a child, it caused you troubles. You made changes to tackle those difficulties. These are a few instances. People often warned me that I didn't think things through, and that I would make incredibly bad choices. And after hearing that again and over, it took me a long time to make a choice. That kind of rapid decision-making has led to not making decisions at all over time. Masking is another wonderful illustration of this. Individuals with ADHD use masking to keep their symptoms from getting in the way of other individuals. A number of participants indicated they concealed their symptoms to the extent of altering their presentation. This overcompensation is said to have changed how people show themselves, going from being impulsive to having trouble making decisions, or from being too emotional to being distant. Participants indicated a transition from grappling with one extreme of their symptoms throughout childhood to managing the opposing extreme in adulthood. A good example that I've observed a lot with my patients is that persons with ADHD have what I call jittery amygdalas. So their brain's negative emotional circuits are quite quick to respond. A neurotypical person might feel nervous for a short time, but that feeling will fade away. On the other hand, a person with ADHD will feel a huge wave of anxiousness that can last all day. A lot of individuals are anxious about things like having a job interview at 4 p.m. That worry about the job interview at 4 p.m. I can't do anything all morning and all afternoon. I can't really focus my mind. When I am really emotionally reactive to situations, I tend to make up for it in relationships. I end up making up for it by being distant. I end up shutting down to make up for it. And then my partner complains. I'm not emotionally present. I don't feel like we're linked. I can think, oh, I don't feel connected because I'm not paying attention. It could be a little bit of inattention. I have to use this emotional suppression as a way to adapt. So how can we correct these adaptations that don't work? To begin, Think about the things you do to keep your partner from getting angry with you. We want to talk about that once you realize that you don't want to make a decision because this individual gets furious. The second you realize, oh wait, I'm doing that thing where I don't want to make a commitment. Why am I doing this? Because I'm scared of how scared you are. I'm scared of how angry you are. I'm scared of letting you down. You always say that I'm letting you down. You say I don't care. I'm sick of letting you down. So simple. I got it. I'm never going to make a promise because I'm sick of letting you down and you hate it when I do. I won't ever declare I'm going to do something because if I don't set an expectation, you won't be let down. So how do you find these broken adaptations and fix them? The first thing we do is ask your partner, what do I do that makes you mad? What is the action? So when they pick a behavior, like not making a commitment, the next thing you need to do is ask yourself what you are trying to repair when you conduct this behavior. What is the answer? What issue am I attempting to address? What am I attempting to keep my partner from doing? I don't want my lover to be disappointed. That's the chain we want to follow. This is the behavior that bothers your partner the most. This is what you're trying to fix, or stop your partner from doing. This is the main feeling. I'm attempting to stop people from being let down. When your partner is feeling let down, this is kind of the final crucial thing to do. Sit down and ask yourself and your partner, what can we do to avoid this disappointment? What can we do to change how we see things? How do you tell me when you're feeling let down so that I can handle that much disappointment? And we can both sit down and talk about how to fix this now that you're upset. And this is where we get to the third aspect, which is the third premise of couples-based ADHD therapy. Stop avoiding your feelings. So, how do you get rid of these bad habits? So it starts by asking your partner what they don't like about your behavior. So my partner will respond, you never make a promise. The next thing you need to do is over here. You need to think about this behavior and ask yourself, what am I trying to fix by never making the commitment? What is wrong? You're avoiding the commitment because you're trying to fix something or stop something from happening. So, you see, the reason I never make a promise is that if I never make a commitment, I can never let you down. So what I'm trying to avoid is what we normally find. Your spouse is going to have an emotion that you don't want them to have, because you can see that they are growing more and more upset and unhappy. You know they're on their last legs and are about to break up with you. You let me down all the time, so if you ever do it again, I'll be angry. I'm done if you let me down one more time. I can't take it anymore. And then you think, oh no, they're going to break up with me. I hope I never let them down again. Don't ever make a promise to them again so you don't let them down. That's why I'm trying to avoid this letdown. The third element of evidence-based ADHD couples treatment is to stop avoiding emotions. Now that you know what to do, I need to be able to let you down. I need to know that I'm cool with letting you down. And this is the most important thing that scares me. We need to find another way to deal with that letdown, don't we? So now that hey, you're feeling let down, what can we do? What can we do to fix this? So instead of never making a promise, let's agree that I might have to make one. These are the problems I'm having. This is why I have trouble making a promise. I constantly forget. Once you see the relationship in a new way, you understand that it's not just that I don't care. It's that ADHD is making things worse between us. This is why I never remember. What other options do we have? When you ask me to make a commitment, please know that it's not, I want to try, help me succeed. How can we find another way to do this? Okay, you're upset. Why are you upset? What else can I do? I have a hard time remembering when you ask me for chocolate cake. Can you help me remember how to do it? That's where you and your partner have to perform your work. This is the other very crucial thing. Here are the things you do that truly make me shut down when I'm having a hard time and you're upset. Once I see that disappointment, I start to lose control. If you're feeling let down, please come and tell me. I'm starting to worry that you're going to forget about the chocolate cake. Can you come and tell me how you feel? Can you bring it to the surface? If you can bring up the disappointment and dissatisfaction, and we can talk about it, we can come up with a different plan. We don't have to do this if we have a backup plan. It will solve the problem. Okay, so this is how you correct the broken adaptations. You want to stop avoiding your feelings, figure out the pattern, and come up with other options. We need to talk about one last thing, something called pragmatic communication. People with ADHD have a hard time with this, and here's what pragmatic communication is. Starting conversations, talking or using gestures to communicate, controlling one's feelings and behaviors, and keeping conversations going by responding or asking questions. Some other specific skills that go along with pragmatic language are keeping conversations going, not talking too much, taking turns when talking, reading other people's body language, not interrupting, controlling the intensity, tone and volume of speech, showing the right facial expressions, and keeping the right amount of eye contact and physical closeness. So, if you want to know what pragmatic communication is, it's all the things that are hard for people with ADHD to do. As you can see from this Occupational Therapy Association page, correcting pragmatic communication is part of a full program of occupational therapy that we may use to teach people these skills. This is a big problem, and it's not exactly what today's film is about, but I just wanted to let you all know. A big part of the challenges with ADHD in relationships is that the way you talk to each other doesn't include these topics. You interrupt when you shouldn't, you have trouble paying attention, and you have trouble taking turns in the conversation. This makes your partner feel like you're not there and that you're not paying attention. With ADHD, it's really hard to feel connected to other people, and the reason is that connection means that I'm going to hit the ball over the net and you're going to hit it back, and then I'm going to hit it back, and so on. Communication has a flow. This is what makes ADHD hard. So, sadly, if you have ADHD and are having trouble with your relationships, you are not alone. The numbers are really terrifying, but you can work on things like pragmatic communication and understanding how ADHD affects your relationships through symptomatic misperception and dysfunctional adjustments. The good news is that we have evidence-based programs for couples therapy for ADHD that help people improve these things, and as we use them, people's relationships grow better. Hey everyone, I hope you liked the video today. We discuss about a lot of things like this on the channel, so make sure you subscribe to see more. If you're already a member, GG, and we'll see you in conversation.